A very warm welcome wherever you are joining us from tonight. I'm not sure where you are in the world or even where you're watching now. If you're watching it on the BitChute or the Rumble or the YouTube channel, wherever you are, I hope you're going to enjoy what we're going to talk about and discuss and share. As usual, I've got some opinions that I'm going to see how you feel. If you're on the same page, if you're not, that's fine. That's what an opinion is. Opinions are what people share. And if you don't like it, that's it. You know what? How many times has somebody said something you thought, you know what? There's actually a good point there. Happens all the time to me. I'm not so stubborn or arrogant that you can't change my mind. All you've got to do is present the right information. That's what it's all about, isn't it? Presenting the right information. Let me try this tea. I get natural honey from my friend's girlfriend's grandmother. It's amazing. Oh, that's perfect, isn't it? There's something about them, but it doesn't matter how long you've been out of either Ireland or England, we're big tea drinkers. So no matter where we go in the world, you always have to have a cup of tea. If you go to any household in Ireland, the first thing they say is, I only have a cup of tea. Even if there's somebody died and they're in hospital, Jesus, they got hit by a truck. Well, geez, we better have a cup of tea and then we'll go and see him. We'll go to the hospital after we'll have a cup of tea. Have a cup of tea, sets the day up, sets whatever situation is in hand, you can discuss it. Now, I've had some good news today. I have a good day today because I finally got my tooth in. Look, I can speak again probably and smile. Look, amazing. So it's so strange, isn't it? If you haven't, hi from Seville. Who's in Seville? If you're in Seville, I'm going to Seville tomorrow. That's where I'm off to tomorrow for a week to my other place, my other business. Mm. Oh my God, sometimes you just make the perfect cup of tea, don't you? And what was I talking about? When you missing something, all of a sudden, like you get an injury, broken foot, or your hand, you can't pick something up. I had carpal syndrome a few weeks ago, and remote healed by Shima, who I haven't seen since. She's been busy, I've been busy. But when you all of a sudden have a system operational issue, like a missing tooth, and I tell you what, it made me just look so rough. I saw people and I'd be laughing. My mates were always making me laugh, you know. And you'd have a little smile and people go, "Oh, what happened to him? What did the other people look like?" What was my favorite wind up of the day? Um, favorite joke of the day is I have an Irish mechanic that I've now taken on full time, and oh my God, he makes me howl laughing. He's an amazing guy. Nothing's ever a problem for him, and he's a jolly, happy, apart from his girlfriend ringing him every half an hour for nothing. It drives him mad. And I hear him so patient. Would you mind? Listen, I'm just in the middle of something. I'll give you a call back in a minute. Poor guy. But he had an electric wheelchair. When I went in there this morning, there was an electric wheelchair on charge that he was repairing, soldering something. I said, "What are you doing?" He says, I'm repairing this wheelchair for my disabled neighbor. I said, "How did it get here then?" He says, "I put it in the back of my car and I brought it here." I said, "Is she a neighbor like literally right next door? But don't you live on a street?" "Yeah, she's my neighbor next door. She always brings over soups and stews and a Spanish woman." And I said, "Have you found the problem?" He said, "Listen, if you don't stop asking me questions, I'll put you into that wheelchair." Because that's curious. Why do we have an electric wheelchair all of a sudden? Where's this come from? What's the story? Oh, now we're doing that, are we? But the Irish are so quick with the banter, you know? It's hilarious. And today's project was cooking. He says, "I want to fire up one of your classic cars with a big V8 in there from the 70s." I said, "Oh, yeah, test it." He said, "No, no, I've got a theory. I want to cook some barbecue food on top of the engine on foil. I saw it on a YouTube channel." I said, "It'll work, that, but it'll stink the whole place up. And I see the ones that you bought, they've got some teriyaki sauce. So you're going to turn the whole place into what will smell like a Chinese restaurant or a Japanese restaurant." So I think the whole point of that story is laughing. Just laughing all the time, guys. Laugh as much as you possibly can. Never take yourself seriously or too seriously. How many people do you know really take themselves seriously? "Oh, I've got a terrible day today. Oh, it's going to be awful. Oh, I'm not looking forward to today." Or they say things like, "Oh God, it's only Wednesday. When's it going to be Friday?" Living for the Friday and weekends, you know. I had a girlfriend for a very short space of time. I actually dated her rather than having a girlfriend. And she used to work like a maniac Monday to Friday. Friday night, she'd be really happy. Halfway through Saturday, she'd start thinking about what she has to do on Sunday. And you can forget Sunday afternoon, she's already back at work. So how can you live like that? That's just, and she was a multi-millionaire. She sold her company for $165 million. Wanted to get married. I said, I can't do it. I don't love you. I don't care how much money you've got. I couldn't do it. And for anybody off record, I'll gladly tell you where she is. She's still single, I believe. And then I had another amazing thing happen today. Hmm. This is where we'll start going spiritual, right? When I lived in the States, I met an amazing girl called Joanne, and we became very good friends. She was Jordanian, and she's living in the States, and absolutely beautiful girl. Honestly, her faith, beautiful. I used to be mesmerized by it. But something happened where I had to leave the States. Many of you might know the story where I was put in jail, charged with being a threat to the security of the United States and thrown out of America forever. So I had to restructure my entire life. I had to come back to Spain. I lost more or less everything. I was doing business in the States. My brother sort of thought we weren't coming, I was never going to get out. I was like, I'll be out in a few, it's just a bureaucratic paperwork thing. So anyway, I had to come back to Spain and restructure my life and restructure everything on a financial basis too, because everything I've been setting up, I couldn't go back to the States. Basically, I was enrolled in flight school. I'd paid for all of that, and I was going to be a specialist in twin engine World War II airplanes, repairing, maintenance, delivering, restoration. Yeah, had it all set up, had all everything. The workshop, I had all the FBI security clearance for flying around America. I even had keys to clubs so I could go all over California, walk in, swipe my card, and take any airplane I want to fly around. It was great, great fun. So, Joanne, bear with me, guys. This is about soul bearing and fixing a wrong that's been wrong for many years. Joanne came to visit me several times in Spain while she was out here, and she would turn up from San Diego, just turn up and say, "Oh, I'm going here, I'm going there." Got to know my friends and family, but I was just such in a bad emotional place. I mean, I wasn't sitting around crying, but I just couldn't commit to a relationship. And honestly, I wasn't very nice to her. In fact, I would say I was horrible to her. I made excuses. I wasn't honest with her. I didn't tell her how I really felt. And eventually she just said, you know what, this guy's a total asshole. He's treating me like dirt. And I was. It's only because I didn't have the courage to say, Joe, look, I can't do this right now. I know how you feel about me, but I don't feel the same way about you. You live there, I live here. And I never saw her again. She just disappeared into the mist, as rightly she should. Move on, forget about me. That's what I deserved. But because she was Jordanian, I was always talking about Jordan, 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 Jordan. I was like more than 10 years, at least 20 years, I wanted to go to Jordan. So, as some of you may know, I went back in December. I've never been, I went to Jordan and I had the most amazing trip with my son. And while I was there, I was thinking about Joanne and how to get hold of her and should I reach out to her and say, I know she's got family. She always wanted to say, if you're ever there, you got to bring my uncle, this and that. Anyway, I didn't because you just don't know where to start. Sometimes you make such bad mistakes with people and you're so horrible to them and the guilt that you feel. And I'd actually forgotten about this guilt. It's just occasionally it swings through my head like you should have done something and that's bad. So I'll set the picture for you. Yeah? You understand. And today on my Instagram, as I'm mooching about, checking for messages, answering people, there's a new follower, Joanne. I was like, oh my God, there she is. So of course, I had a little look through her picture. She's married now. She looks amazing still. She's got a really nice looking husband. I suppose she's about 45, 50 maybe now. But she looks really happy. But there's the moment. There's the moment that Spirit sent me because I was thinking about it a couple of months ago. Here's the moment, Mahoney, I heard in my head. The little voice kicked in. Here's the moment that you've been waiting for. She's following you on Instagram. She hasn't said anything or commented, I don't think, on my videos, but new follower, Joanna. I won't say her surname. And I had that sudden surge of like, I get it. So I sent her a voice message. I said, Joanne, I was terrible to you. I owe you such a big apology. You were nothing but nice and respectful of me. You tried so hard. You were so supportive of what I was going through. And for many years, I wanted to say it's about 6 years, maybe 7 years. No, it must be more than that since I've seen her. And I said, I've always felt bad and guilty. And even when I was in Jordan, I wanted to reach out, but I didn't. So I just wanted to say, I hope it's not inappropriate because I know I can see you married. You got pictures there of your wedding. Um, I wanted to say how bad I felt and how bad you did not deserve to be treated like that. You're an amazing person. It was nothing but kind to me and showed me love and unconditional love. And I reciprocated in a terrible way. I've never mentioned this before because it's kind of one of those things that it doesn't come to me every day, but it's been thrown in my face. So the moral of this story is life does that to you. Spirit does that to you. He'll say, here's your opportunity to step up and do the right thing. Be that person. And I couldn't let it go because what I teach and what I share, rather, I wouldn't say I'm a teacher, I'm a sharer. What I share is about doing exactly these sort of things. And it was the most amazing, liberating feeling. I don't think she's answered. And I said in the message, look, I can see you married. I hope this isn't going to cause you problems. You don't have to answer, but I've said what I need to do. And I said, I had an amazing time in your country, the most beautiful people, and food was amazing. And I finally made it there, Joanne, I said. Jojo, I used to always call her. So Spirit put that in my face today, saying, you've got to right this wrong. You've got to admit what you did wrong and ask for forgiveness and forgive yourself for doing it. Understand why you did it at the time. And I do. So let's see. I'll keep you posted on that. I would love to hear from her again if it's appropriate because her life has moved on and she seems very happy. But it was a right that needed to be wronged, and it was a really liberating, beautiful experience. And if she doesn't answer, it's fine. The message and the moral is Spirit put that in front of me today, and I took that message straight away. I didn't even pause or hesitate. I knew instantly what I had to do because it's been on my soul, it's been on my conscience since I was specifically in Jordan, remembered a lot of it. And of course, I got distracted. So there's a great day for me I've had today. New tooth, having a laugh all day long, getting to right a wrong, clearing my conscience, and forgiving myself for something I did when I wasn't the same person. And one of the videos I'm going to share tonight is about not being the same person you were 5 years ago. That's it. You've always got to move on. You've always got to be moving forward. Change is one thing in life that's inevitable. Things are always going to change. Whether you're able to deal with the changes or not in a significant way that you can be proud of yourself is how you should be judged. If you're going to take those problems and face them head on, or if you're going to ignore them and sweep them under the rug. I like to face them head on. I love a bit of that confrontation. Let me check the messages, señoras and señoritas. Um, what's this? Let me see if there's anything I need to see in the messages. Sorry, guys, you're watching this on the reruns, so this has nothing to do with you. It doesn't seem, I think, Joanne, my amazing assistant. What would you call Joanne? Um, yeah, she's done that. Julianne is always very good with the clients, with the viewers, and she always gets the questions answered. I'm going to take another sip of this amazing tea. I wish you could try it with me. Do you like the cup? Silver. It's not real silver, it's just painted silver. He's drinking out of a silver goblet. Mm. So, what else has been going on? Every day there's something funny that happens to me, and it's maybe I should journal it. I went for a pizza last night. I've got this health clinic, and she's going away for a few days, so I had to have a meeting with her saying, "Look, who's coming? Let me reset the appointments." And she's got this cute little son who's about 12. And because they're Peruvian, they're tiny little people. It's like walking down the street with two people out of their little hobbler. What do they call them? Hobbits from Lord of the Rings. Tiny little people. And but very good looking. She's 25% Japanese, and it's passed on to her son. I was having a look at him. I was like, he's a handsome little guy. He's got great hair. He's got like a short back and sides, and he's very polite. But there was a couple next to us, English couple, first time in Spain. So I said, "Oh, first time here, where?" So I was helping them where to go and hit the best location so they can join, get the most out of Spain. And while I said some, here's how good I am at observation. I said, I noticed you're very smoochy. Touchy, smoochy, holding hands. I was like, well, that's nice. Now, they're probably, yeah, I would say mid 50s, maybe early 60s, the guy. I'm thinking, okay, is this a new relationship? Is this like an online relationship and they've come away on holiday? And I said, how long have you guys known each other? And she said, oh, about 18 years. I was like, oh, so maybe it's like a second honeymoon or something. So when he popped off to the bathroom, she said, he's been at His Majesty's pleasure for 2 years, which anybody from the UK would understand, like he's been in jail for 2 years. So it's his wife for 18 years. He's just got out of jail, they've come away on holiday, and that's why they're sort of smooching and touching and, probably not getting up too late. Maybe reenacting some of the honeymoon day moments. Nothing wrong with that, is there? But I was like, because I'm so observant, I'm watching people's energy and I'm watching how people are interacting. It didn't occur to me. That was one thing, it didn't occur to me. I thought, new couple, she said, no, we've known each other 18 years. Sometimes people get divorced and separate and get back together later in life and give it another go. But it was very nice to watch them. And I was very happy that they're in that love energy. It was very, um, I wouldn't say intoxicating, but certainly I was feeding on their happiness. It was making me feel happy. And then they said to me, they said, oh, we thought you were a Spaniard, the way you're talking, because the Peruvians don't speak English. Of course, the restaurant's owned by Italians, so they're speaking Italian Spanish at me. They were very surprised when they heard my voice, my accent. I can't work out where you're from. A lot of people say that. um, right, I suppose we'll get on with some videos now. We've had a chat. At the end of all of that, when Spirit sends you a message, take the opportunity because there's two things there. And I've experienced this firsthand. Spirit will send you a message, you ignore it. He'll send you another one. You ignore that. He'll send you another one. Ignore that. He just keeps banging on the door. And the messages get harder and harder if you ignore them. They'll just get more and more in your face. Like, okay, slow down a bit. Like you can't find your keys in the morning, or someone says, "Oh, there's a new speed camera going down." I'm telling you, things are slowing down. You need to slow down. He'll do whatever he needs to do for you to get the message and act upon what he wants you to do. So the quicker that you get on with it, the quicker you'll get the next message. And that today happened to me was actually one of those moments in my life. I'm sitting back now just going, wow, that was so amazing. What a great thing to happen. Because there are things that happen to people and they deserve it. But hand on heart, she did not deserve. I wasn't horrible to her, like, saying horrible things. I was just like not calling her back. And she was flying via Spain to see me on the way out to Jordan. And I was just like, oh, I can't make it today. I could have made it. It's just financially, I couldn't keep up. And that's embarrassing for me. And I didn't want to admit that, having lost everything I'd invested in and having to rebuild everything. And I'm being totally honest, you know. And I remember she paid for a really expensive hotel once in Seville. And I was like, I can't do this. It's like, oh man, it was like $800 for the night or something. I was like, this is too much, man. It's just, you know, whereas I should have been more open and honest about it and being vulnerable and accept sometimes, you just got to be honest with people, saying, look, I can't do this. I don't have the financial capability to do this, or this is not me, or I don't feel the same way. It's not you, it's me. It really was me. Because it was a very tough time, that coming back and having to reestablish. But 12 years ago, I think I've come back on a pretty strong way. I've branded myself and built a whole company on amazing health products. And that's some of the stuff we're doing next, like coming up now, it's going to be even more interesting. We're doing all this new software and tracking and algorithms, and I've got all these. I'm like, I don't understand any of this. Just what do I have to do? Okay, that's done. Do it. So yeah, I'm excited about that. But to brand myself from coming from the acting and now into this whole supplement and the medical side of things, um, it's really interesting what I'm learning along this life journey. And this is just one. I've got 7 different things I do on a daily basis, speaking 5 languages on a daily basis. Today I spoke German, Dutch, and Spanish. No, what was the other one? I didn't speak any Portuguese today, but obviously English. So German, Dutch, Spanish, and English. So 4 languages today. Been goofing around with them. Right, let's get some videos down your neck so you can chew on something and digest something. So instead of this rambling, I've been rambling for 23 minutes. Well, I was a bit late on, so it's at least 20 minutes, you know. Rambling and waffling. What's the difference, Mahoney? What's the difference? Where am I going? I'm going on over here to get these videos. Dum, dum, dum. I want to go down here. And we'll go back up to the very top. I've got a real mixture today. Right from there. What's this one? Let's see what that is. Facebook again. What's this?
Anderson.
Ivan T. Anderson, or the Bermuda Triangle Network. But this has got a spiritual side of things as well. I'll share this. It's interesting. Right, here we go. Boom, boom, boom. Have a listen to this. I'm going to rewatch this now with you. What's that now? Something happened. Zoom came in then, goofed it all up. That bastard. I told Zoom to stay out of it. Here we go. That is the Q&A. And here we go.
Identified 12 vile vortices on Earth, including Bermuda and the Dragon's Triangle. These are equidistant. They are portals or gravity anomaly points. Planes and ships disappear because these are the entry/exit nodes of the planetary grid used by UFOs. The anomalies are caused by the activation of the transport gates. Ivan T. Sanderson identified 12 vile vortices on Earth, including Bermuda and the Dragon's Triangle. These are equidistant. They are portals or gravity anomaly points. Planes and ships disappear because these are the entry/exit nodes of the planetary grid used by UFOs. The anomalies are caused by the activation of the transport gates. Ivan T. Sanderson identified 12 vile vortices on Earth, including Bermuda and the Dragon's Triangle. These are equidistant. They are portals or gravity anomaly points. Planes and ships disappear because these are the entry/exit nodes of the planetary grid used by UFOs. The anomalies are caused by the activation of the transport gates. Ivan T. Sanderson identified 12 vile vortices on Earth, including Bermuda and the Dragon's Triangle.
Sorry, guys, it was starting to repeat. It's hard to see when it repeats. The Dragon's Triangle, I've never heard of that. I think I'll have to go find out where that is and hit that. I've been through the Bermuda Triangle a few times. Nothing happened, didn't see anything strange. But my skill set was not the same. Where am I going to go next? More videos. I got distracted then. I was looking over there at something and thinking, what is that? I would love to show you my work desk, but it's so embarrassing how untidy. It's crazy. Maybe I'll take a picture one day, but it's like stuff everywhere. Look, I've got boxes of, what's that? Ciprofloxacin, amoxicillin. I've got boxes of stuff everywhere. I've got these new tiny little things that they send as samples, these tiny little bottles, and it's like, what is that one? It says alcohol receive. That's what it's supposed to. I said, well, it doesn't tell me anything. So I get manufacturers sending me stuff all the time. Here's a sample. Here's the test certificates, but there's not enough pills in these little tiny bottles to test anything. So I can't show you the desk, but trust me, it looks like someone's taken a large plastic box and just gone like that with pills everywhere and bottles. And then, look, have I ever shown you this? Look at that. That's my archaeology brush. I take that with me when I'm on those trips. See how worn down it is? It used to be this high, and now it's that high, and that's from brushing when I'm looking at stuff. That's always in my suitcase, my archaeology duster brusher. Yeah. And I've got like another multi-tool I take with me, but that fell out my bag today when I was looking for something. I thought, oh, look how worn out. I don't know if you can see it. That's where the original bristles were here. So there's about that much. Can you see that? You can see that there. Look, see where the bristles are there. That's where it used to be. It's worn down very long. I've had that for donkeys. And I've used it a lot. brushing things off, and then you pour water on a bit of sand and you clean it off, and you get a better picture when you're recording if it's hieroglyphs or any rock carvings or paintings like that, stuff like that. And compasses is another thing I've got all over the place. I collect compasses. I'm really rambling recently. I'm kind of like maybe I should start taking some of my own Alzheimer's medication, the Recog. I've stopped taking that because I didn't think I needed it. Clearly, you do. Let me see where I'm going next. Clearly, there's definitely something wrong with him. Um, this I liked also. This is about um, it's in a series of videos by I've seen this published. It's in the Awakening series, so I'll show you where this one's going. I'm going to listen again to this. There's some good stuff in it. Volume is on.
This is psychology's most misunderstood act of
Psychology misunderstood.
self-preservation. But what looks like coldness is actually the most powerful transformation a human being can undergo. When someone finally cuts everyone off, they're not losing themselves. They're finding themselves. And once that switch flips, there's no going back. This is psychology's most misunderstood act of self-preservation. But what looks like coldness is actually the most powerful transformation a human being can undergo. When someone finally cuts everyone off, they're not losing themselves. They're finding themselves. And once that switch flips, there's no going back. This is psychology's most misunderstood act of self-preservation. But what looks like coldness is actually the most powerful transformation a human being can.
Again, it was doing it again. That's really a great video because this is something I talk about a lot. It's called boundaries, setting your boundaries in place. And you've got to cut people off that cross your boundaries because they're always going to be on you. They're always going to be wanting more, wanting more. I draw a line in the sand, they cross the line. I draw a line in the sand, they cross the line again. They're always going to be wanting something more from you. So you really have to set your boundaries. And I found that cutting people off, they don't like it. They don't understand it. But deep down, they do because when they get the clear message that, hey, that's it, cutting you off, you'll find that they do understand. It's like, okay, well, I deserved that. I was asking for that, I knew that was going to happen. It's not a surprise. But how many people in your life have just sucked as much as they can out of you, the energy and the borrowing money and, I just need a favor. And then, what drives me crazy is people that will borrow a car and bring it back with no gas in it. It's like, oh, dirty. My nephew, honestly, if he wasn't my nephew, I'd have knocked him out at least 20 times. He pushes it because he's family. And I've set really clear boundaries. He got such a fright at Christmas. And I said, Mahoney, what are you doing? I saw him briefly say, I haven't had a drink since that day. Because he got drunk on Christmas Day and there was an incident. And it was, and he kind of embarrassed himself. He said, yeah, I haven't had a drink on Christmas Day since Christmas Day. So, but I've set clear boundaries and I said, you've pushed it too far this time. I was going to say his name, but it's not fair to say that. Boundaries and setting them in place is so important for you to be able to establish respect. This is it. Don't cross it. No. And relationships is another one. People do it all the time, I saw a video the other day where there was a woman that she kept putting her foot over the line. She says the woman will always test the boundaries to see when you're going to snap. And women are creatures that will act upon emotion. Men will act upon necessary, like it's necessary to do that. I'll do that. I have to do that. But women, I'm still convinced you still like a bit of drama because no matter what I've experienced, the older I get, I see things like, yeah, but that was so easy to avoid. Why don't you just not do it or take the call or call him back? It's so easy to avoid. Oh, I got a flat tire. Here's a good one. I got a flat tire, but I knew it was coming because I saw a little bubble on the edge of my tire. I'm like, then why didn't you change it? That's an easy problem to avoid, and it messed up your entire morning waiting for some guy to come along and change the tire or a truck. I was like, you knew it was going to happen. Some people are like that. They just like a bit of drama. They just like to have chaos in their life. I actually sent somebody a message recently. They said, I haven't seen you for ages, Mahoney. What's the matter? You don't call me anymore. We used to be good friends. And my answer was, I prefer peace to chaos. Your life is chaos. And I like peace. There is no mixture between oil and water. Chaos, peace. Where am I going to go? I'm going to sit in my peaceful side. I don't want to be involved in all of your dramas. And it's a man, it's not a woman. He just, and again, another one who procrastinates and doesn't sort shit out and doesn't, you know what the word prophylactic means? Everybody thinks it means condoms. Prophylactic means to stop it from happening. Yeah, preventative. That's what it means. I think it's a Greek word, is it? Maybe Latin. Prophylactico. You can still say that in Spain and they know what you're talking about. It's an old-fashioned way of saying condoms. Anyway, we've veered off the road again, haven't we? Woo! Like being in a car with a drunk driver. Where we go next, Dad? I don't know. Probably prison. We're going to jail if I keep driving like this. I also like this girl because one of my favorite things, this is 4D, is I show you a lot of videos that are generated through a computer system. But when you see real people talking about real feelings and real emotions and real situations, I like those because it shows real people. During the COVID days, we used to have videos all the time from real people. And they were very helpful because it just reinforces what we were saying and thinking and then acting upon. So check out what I don't know what her name is. Mindy Grenner,
D, the state of judging other people's spiritual journeys and living out of fear. Number one, I had to accept that we're all living in very different realities. Nobody can see the world through your lens. It's your world. Only you can understand your trauma, your experiences, the events that led to your awakening. They woke you up and only you. Number two, I had to realize some people aren't ready to wake up. Most people won't wake up in this lifetime. How to get out of 4D, the state of judging other people's spiritual journey.
Sorry, guys, you're sipping tea. She's right. Most people won't wake up in this lifetime. And it's very true that they won't. They'll just stay in their own little happy bubble. They like to stay where they are. They don't like change. They're not into change, scared of change. And the more change that you throw at them, the more that they're going to be concerned about and worried about and saying, well, why should I change? I'm comfortable. Leave them behind. It's so easy to do it. Just let them be. If you want to stay over there, stay over that side of the street. That's fine. We learned that again during the COVID days when all the screaming and shouting and roaring was going on, saying, you've got to listen to me. It's a scam. Don't listen to it. You got to understand. They never did. They always still said, oh, you know, you're a conspiracy theorist. You're just a nutter and you don't know what I really want. And I'm happy. I'm going to go and get another vaccine. Vaccine. Here I come. So not everybody's going to wake up and you can't force them to. And it's probably only going to be a small population percentage. Or is it the other way around? You say that in English? The percentage of the population? Sometimes I get confused. A small percentage of the population will wake up. The rest of them won't. But think about it this way. How nice is it going to be when we're all over that side and there's loads of room over there and they're all over that. It's all like busy over here. You know, when you go to a restaurant, you like to go there when it's kind of not so busy and you sit down, you're not shouting at your voice and getting great service because all the waiters are not that busy. Or do you want to go somewhere that's jam-packed? The food is coming out slow because the kitchen's slammed and the sales and the servers are all in a bad mood. One of the best things about Europe is we're not forced to tip. In Spain, nobody tips. Nobody. I do because I like to make sure that the staff are appreciated. Especially when you pay with your card, no one tips. I always leave the tip in cash. Where I go to get my hair cut, I pay the guy double. And I'll tell you why. Is because whenever I go in there, there's always two or three people sitting there. It's 10 euros for a haircut, right? That's it. Great haircut. Love the guy. He's funny. He's chatty. He's gossipy. You get a bit of scandal from what's been going on. But whenever I go in there, he now understands, hey, I don't have an hour to wait. I want to go next. As soon as you finish that guy, I'm going in. It takes 15 minutes maximum to cut my hair. I don't spend any time in it. Shave it here, cut it there, and that's it. You know, I'm not one of these guys that's like, oh no, I don't like that. Is that side put it, is that side equal? And I pay him double, so he knows it, I know it, gets the job done. This is a great lesson in life. What does it take? You have to pay a bit more to get the job done. How much is your time worth? My time is not worth sitting there for another hour and a half while he tends to 4 or 5 people that might be in the line. There's usually 2 people. I won't exaggerate, but it's worth it to me because I know if I'm going to go in there, I'm going to be there an hour maximum, maximum. And I don't think I've ever been in there an hour. He's got a small Yorkshire Terrier dog called Mickey. It's a silver little Yorkie, cute little thing. Play with the dog a bit, have a bit of a chat with the guy next to me. Yeah, sorry, buddy. We're running a bit late. This guy had an appointment. He doesn't even say that. He doesn't have to explain anything. He's got always got a bit of nice sort of Ibiza style beach music going. It's a really little rinky-dink place. Point I'm making is I pay him double. I tip him 10, cost me 10, so 20 euros for a haircut. Anywhere else around there's 35. I'm still paying way under. I get in and get out, and he loves me. Thinks I'm great because that guy, when he comes in, he knows he's going to cut one person, but he's going to get paid for two. So lesson here is what is your time worth? So you can utilize your time. And if it's going to cost you a little bit more, but your time is worth more. For example, I can park free, but it's going to take me 15 minutes to walk. Or I can park right next to where I want to be. It's going to cost me $3, $4. Is the 25 minutes worth $3, $4 for you because of the walking back and forth? Not for me, it's not. So, and that's not trying to say I'm flippant with money. I'm not. I don't buy labels. I don't wear expensive watches. You know what? I have expensive watches, but I've never bought them. They've always been on trades and cars and stuff. They're sitting in a box over there on the wall in the shelf. I've got 2 Rolexes over there that were traded in from cars, and I've never worn them. Put it on. I don't like it. Sitting there, guy says, "You want to swap?" Well, let me have a look at it. Is it real? Yeah, all right, we'll do a deal on that. So you can trade in watches are like, especially Rolexes, they're like gold. You can sell them at any time you want to. People collect them. Instead of having money in the bank, they buy watches. And I don't know much about watches. Never been interested. But um, that's the point. What is your time worth? Figure it out and then stick to your rules and stick to your boundaries. Don't let people inside that boundary, that castle. You need to have a fortress, an impregnable fortress of positive energy. You let anybody inside there, they're going to mess with it. Here's an interesting. The Chinese symbol for house, yeah, is 2 lines like that, and it goes across the top. It's simple terms. And then the Chinese symbol for quarrel, fighting. Do you know what a quarrel is? Is that a word that you use in American English? Would you use that? Quarrel is like a high-heated discussional argument. So the Chinese symbol for quarrel is a house with 2 women in it. 2 women in the same house. So you imagine what goes on in an Islamic house when you got 2 or 3 wives in there. I mean, can you imagine the squabbling? That sounds like I'm having a jab at women. I'm not. Oh, March is it's a whole month of Women's Month, isn't it? March. Didn't I hear that on the radio today? Whole month celebrating women. Where would we be without them? Nowhere. We wouldn't exist. I tell you what I have seen recently, before I go on to the next video, I'll set it up. I've seen a surge in women going against the feminism movement, saying, they've taken away things that we're supposed to be doing, which is having children, focusing on getting a job, telling us we can have a career and go back to do children later. It gets harder and harder as you get older. And realistically, would you want to be a mom with a toddler when you're sort of 47 or 50? It's hard work. Oh, someone calling me. It's hard work. That's why you have kids when you're young. I was 26 when I was a dad. It was hard work then. So imagine doing it in your 40s. I mean, as a mom, 40, 45, just I met a doctor a couple of years ago. I think she was 47 and, just had a baby. That's hard work. But, they've been teaching women that they get a job, you don't need to do what traditional values are. But the whole thing is swinging back around now because women are realizing that as they're in their 30s and 40s, 45, if they haven't got married or in a relationship, a man that age is not really interested in a 45-year-old woman. This is a biological fact. It's not me talking about it. So there's a lot of women now that realize they've kind of missed that whole marriage and kids boat. they've had relationships through the career and then maybe got married, but you know, 25 to 30, I think 30 is probably about the right number to have children when you're about 30. And this is just an opinion, but because you've got all the clubbing, you don't want to have children when you still feel like, oh, I missed out on all the Ibiza and I missed out on the Ayia Napa in Greece. You want to have the party days. You need to understand it's like trying everything on the menu you're before you know what you like to eat. The same there. Do I like Italian guys? Do I like English guys? What? You need to date around a bit, at least a few times so you know exactly what you're looking for. And then you don't want to feel like you've missed out on all of those clubbing and going away on the girls' weekends and crazy nights in Vegas. Woo! Same for guys, you know. You don't want to settle down with a guy if he's got a wandering eye. Oh, I'll tell you a good story. I was in court once and my mother was a witness. A silly little case that they tried to stitch me up on again. They try that all the time. So well, basically, there was a car in my garage that the woman took from her marriage, and the husband reported it stolen, and then it got abandoned in my parking space because I said, "Yeah, there's loads of spaces. Just use that." And the husband reported it as stolen. So it'd been stolen for how long was COVID? 3 years. So then I got the car out of there, and the police happened literally just to be driving past as I'm pulling the car out of my garage because the battery's all dead and everything. And they said, "Oh, this car's listed as stolen." I said, "Well, talk to the owner. That's the owner." But then when the prosecutor didn't like my attitude, I said, "Look, it's nothing to do with me. It's just been down there. She's told you who it is. You just want me, don't you?" Because they checked out my right. Oh, yeah, we want him. So my mother was a witness anyway. And I had a lawyer there. It was a different lawyer I normally use, but he's a very well-dressed Spaniard. Handsome guy, silver beard. Just going, he's dark hair, but a little bit of grey. And he's dressed like a dandy, really suave. And the way that he speaks English, it sounds like the way Antonio Banderas speak on that. When he is the cat in the Pussy in Boots, you have been a very, very naughty kitty. Talks like that, right? So my mum's reading the paper and she's watching him because he's the type of guy that every woman that walks past, he's going, oh, he's an ass checker. He's not just having a look, he's like swiveling in his chair. So my mum's watching him. She's reading the paper and she's giving him that look of this. I said, Distant, don't get in a fight. He's our lawyer. We need him. And she says, oh, I bet he's a hard dog to keep on the porch at night. Actually, it was before COVID. It wasn't that case. It was something else. It was before COVID because my mother died more or less just after COVID. I bet he's a hard dog to keep on the porch at night, snapping the paper. But that's the thing. You don't want to be involved with a man who's got a wandering eye. You need to have someone who's, look, I've done that. I've been there. I know what it is. I don't want to go clubbing anymore. I'm not interested. That's it. Many people make that mistake. My mother was funny. She was awfully, awfully well spoken, like this, but she used to tell people to fuck off all the time in that posh English accent. I used to be mortified, embarrassed. It's like, would you stop? He's done nothing. I don't like him. He walked too close to me, David. Anyway, my mum, God bless her. God bless her soul. She's at peace now. She actually hasn't visited me for a while on a spiritual level. I think she's now because what happens when you die, you go into what's like an igloo, a tent where they review all your life story and where you've made mistakes and who you've hurt, and they kind of make you feel the damage and make you understand it. And until you get it, you say, "Oh my God, I feel so bad." If you say, "No, no, no, that's not how it happened," you keep looking at it, and then eventually they pass over onto the next one, whether it's reincarnation or whatever they're doing. From what I've come to understand and had information shared with me about that. So I think, and my dad actually, I haven't felt his energy for a while either, which is good because they've passed on, they're doing something else now. They don't feel like they need to be watching over you, which is great because I don't like them peeping around, popping around, peeping around, popping around at night when I'm sleeping with you. Go away. I've had a long flight today. I just want to get some sleep. Where are we going next? In your mind, this is called. What's it talking about? I've obviously zapped it for a reason. Let's share it. Do do do. Come on. There we go.
The psychology behind every choice you make starts before you're aware of it. Your mind filters reality through beliefs, habits, and past experiences. You don't just decide, you're guided by patterns. Awareness changes those patterns. When you understand your mind, you take control of your choices. The psychology behind every choice you make starts before you're aware of it. Your mind filters reality through beliefs, habits, and past experiences. You don't just decide, you're guided by patterns.
Was that looping now? I always pretend I'm watching him, but my phone's always popping with questions from other people that are watching online. Um, I think we watched that. It was looping, wasn't it? There's so many intriguing parts of the human psyche, isn't there? But what turns people into who they are? You know the difference between a psychopath and a sociopath? I'll show you. That's actually quite a good one to do in a restaurant. You know what the difference between a sociopath and a psychopath? And then just scream, I'll freaking show you. A sociopath is formed by events in their life, such as growing up in a rough neighborhood. I'll freaking show you who's a sociopath. Um, so they grow up in a rough neighborhood. They're forced into acting with violence and protecting themselves. That's what a sociopath is. Social society and situations form that personality trait in that person. A psychopath is basically born with it. They both have similar characteristics, such as an inability to feel empathy towards someone that they've caused damage to. They're just interested in themselves. But that's the difference. A psychopath, they're born that way, you know, pulling their legs off insects, I suppose, when they're kids, and local neighborhood cats that they're doing unspeakable things to. Do you know what I learned recently? Speaking of cats, here's something. There's a particular parasite that is present in cat feces. And when it gets into the human body, something ptosis it was called, plaxitosis, something of this parasite. When it gets into the human body, it can actually make you go mad. It gets up and through your nasal passages from inhaling it from cat feces in the dust and the cat litter. And if you're exposed to a lot of it over the years and they start to multiply and it's untreated, it penetrates the brain barrier and it gets into your brain and it causes madness. And this is why we have those urban legends of the crazy cat lady. This is where it's come from. Scientists, and I'm on a loop here. Scientific studies have done it when they've taken the crazy cat ladies and let's have an autopsy. Yeah, we all had one of those. So if you do have a cat in the house, just be aware of that, girls. My friend told me some story about a cat. He said the cat now rules the house or something. It was a stray cat took in, and now the cat's the big boss, you know. Yeah, detox. We got where's the paragon? But yeah, crazy cat ladies. There's a scientific reason behind it. When you have like 10, 20, 50, 60, 100 cats in the house. Absolutely, they've got it. And you can see when you talk to them, they'll talk to themselves. What's that? I've told them. No. Hang on a second. Let's see. We've got a few minutes left. I've got another few videos to share. We haven't done too many videos tonight because we've been chatting, which I like, you know. It's nice to have a chat. Lunar cycles. Speaking of this is how the link is. See, this is how my mind works. Crazy cat video. We'll show them about that. We'll talk about crazy cat video. Now I'm going to talk about how lunar cycles affect humans. They don't affect animals too much. Other primates, are they affected by the cycles? A lunatic? More craziness happens on full moons. And there's one coming up. Isn't there an eclipse today? Was it yesterday? I didn't see it. I couldn't even see the planetary alignments either that everybody was talking about. Apparently, if you're going to have a baby on that day, which wasn't it yesterday or today, then it would be very difficult for the child to be emotionally balanced. I was like, why are you telling me that? You know, I talked about it with someone and they mentioned that. I was like, that's a strange thing to come out of a mouth, isn't it? Oh, if you're having a baby there. Well, I've checked and I'm not. Can I just have my coffee in peace? Yeah, baby advice giving weirdo. Um, let's cue this up. Share button is what I want. Yeah, here we go. Have a listen.
Biological cycles are bizarrely synced to the moon, unlike most other primates. Did the creators of humanity also place the moon in its precise orbit to regulate the breeding cycles of their experiment? Some fringe researchers believe the moon is an artificial satellite used to broadcast frequencies that affect human DNA replication and behavior, keeping the experiment stable. Human biological cycles are bizarrely synced to the moon, unlike most other primates. Did
Yeah, see? Strange that, isn't it? And then they're talking about the moon being a satellite that was placed there 20,000 years ago. That's what they're saying. 20,000 years ago, that's when the moon was there. The moon is hollow. Yeah, yes, I think it is. I don't believe the moon is what it is. I think it's an artificial base of operations. Although I can't explain the high tides and everything, because if the high tides are there, the planet's flat. Like it does my head in. I was talking to someone about the flat Earth the other day, and they really got offended by it. Oh, you're not going to start talking about that, are you? Flat Earth? You better not. I was like, I haven't even mentioned it, but now that you're sensitive, of course I'm going to mention it. The worst thing you can do to me is show me anything that you're sensitive about, because I'll use it against you, and that poking in the ribs sort of thing. I like a bit of that. Little wind up. Well, a bit sensitive there, right? Sensitive about that. Oh, trauma, is it? Trauma. Daddy didn't love you. Didn't get you your own moon. um, Over the years, I've met some total nutcases, though. I do seem to attract them, and some stories that they'll just pop out of me. I remember another guy, right? His name was Stevie Gunn. His last name was Gunn, Stephen Gunn, Stevie Gunn. He hated his father. And when his father died, he left him in the armchair in the living room for about a week. And said, yes, I used to go past him every morning on the way to work and kick him. And the Irish authorities didn't do anything about it. They never said, you deliberately didn't call us and let us know to come away. It's a health hazard. He just said, well, I wasn't sure if he was dead or not. I haven't spoken to him for years. You hear some weird stories in Ireland. Um, what else is there? They'll come to me in a second, but I remember that one specifically. And then I asked him how he was doing after his dad died. And he said, oh, it gives me much more room now. I'm constructing my own female companion robot. Far better than that one off Data, that Star Trek show. Far superior. I was like, are you doing that in your spare time when you're not at work? Just nutters I've met. I met a little tiny guy one night in Philadelphia called John Rambo. And he was asking me what I was drinking. Had a cold, so I was drinking a hot whiskey. And he saw me pour a little bit of sugar in there because I didn't have honey. So he said, give me one of those as well. I said, your name, really, John Rambo? He said, yeah. So he showed me his ID, and he was about 50 at the time. Tiny little man. And somebody had done a trick on him. They took the sugar thing and unscrewed it. So when he went like that, the whole thing tipped in his drink. He went bananas, thought I'd done it. You son of a bitch, I'll kill you, I'll kill you. I said, I hadn't touched it, not me, mate. Somebody else is doing it. I could see them all snickering down at the end of the other end of the bar. It was a little neighborhood dive bar. John Rambo, trying to live up to that name all your life. Another friend of mine, his uncle was the same name as a very famous serial killer in the 70s and 80s in England. In the 80s was called Peter Sutcliffe. They called him the Yorkshire Ripper. He was a truck driver. He murdered a lot of women up and down the north of England. And his uncle had the same name. And when I heard it, I started laughing because they were from the same part of the country and they had the same accent in them. I was like, oh my God, that must have been. He says, yeah, that's why we moved to Spain. We had to leave the country. People ring this up all the time. Are you that killer? You killed my cousin. I'm coming to kill you. So let's see. We got another video. It's a bit of a waffling tonight, isn't it? Well, a rambling rather than waffling. Waffling is like, not really talking about anything in particular, just low energy. Yeah, sounds good to me. Yeah, you wanna go rob a bank? Yeah, I'll do the driving for you. Why not? I got nothing else to live for. But sometimes it's just the feeling you get. I've done so many of these shows, and you got to remember what it's like for me. You're there enjoying this, but I'm sitting here in the studio, 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, on my own, talking to that. I've done hundreds, thousands of these. So you're saying there's not a little bit of madness inside here? Oh yeah, it obviously is. I've got to be, because what else? Why else would I do it? Hey, I did a great show with Nick yesterday. He's had like 10,000 views in one day. I think it's nuts. Mad as a box of frogs. Jesus, mad as a box of frogs. I'm way madder than that. Let's see, we got another couple of videos before we wrap up. I know I was saving some of the good stuff. I've got one more. That's perfect. That's going to tie up really good. Perfectly. Let me just refresh that because we missed a few seconds. Boom, boom. Here we go. Back into there. Hit the share button. And hopefully we can pull this show off without any technical glitches. Is that on? Off? On? Right.
Realize how many versions of themselves they've already left behind. The person you were 5 years ago, you barely recognize them now. Different fears, different priorities, different people you thought you'd never lose. You've outgrown places you once called home. You've let go of people you thought would stay forever. You've survived nights you were convinced would break you. And yet, you rarely notice the shift while it's happening. Growth doesn't announce itself. You don't wake up one morning fully healed, fully changed. It happens quietly, in conversations you no longer tolerate, in boundaries you finally set, in the peace you start protecting without apology. The version of you reading this right now, one day, even this person will feel distant because you're still becoming, still evolving into someone your past self wouldn't even believe. And that's not something to fear. That's proof you're still alive. Most people don't realize.
How good was that? And at least it's a different voice. I'm kind of getting burned out with the same computer-generated voice they're using. But it's so true. You're here on this journey with me. You've joined me through thick and thin. And wherever you are, wherever you're sitting, wherever you're watching, you've got to understand that you changed tremendously in 5 years. We've come through all that COVID shit, all the lying and the snaky politicians trying to control us, forced vaccinations, which, we didn't take. We didn't believe you. And people like myself and Charlie and a select few others have guided literally millions of people through this. And because of your own intuition and because of who you are and what your destiny is and your connection to source and that sacred energy that you have inside your soul, you've managed to maneuver your way through that quagmire of lies, and here you are. You are not the same person you were 5 years ago. None of us are. Looking at my own journey, I'm a totally different person I was 5 years ago. The amount of knowledge I've gathered, the amount of people I've met, the amount of laughs I've had, the amount of stories I'm going to tell to my grandchildren eventually if my son would get busy. He'll hate that, actually. He's nervous about that. There's a 50-year-old mother the other day, there's our grandmother of 4 I met. I was like, I'm jealous, man. I don't have any grandkids, mind you. I still feel a bit young. Probably not, but I feel a bit young for grandkids. Give me another 10 years, maybe. We've changed tremendously in this relatively short time period. Because if you look back at other 5-year periods of your life, there hasn't been a 5-year period like this and all this crazy shit going on. The spiritual side of things, when you're awakening, it really makes, because you can look back down that long line of where you've come from over the last few years and think, you know what? I liked him. I liked her. But that's not who I am now. This is who I am now. And in another 5 years, look back to who you are now, didn't know much. I was just a kid. When somebody you'll meet is about 10 years older and you say, oh, I'm 50, they'll say, I'm 60. Oh, you're just a kid. You're just a kid. This is it. In another 5 years on your awakening spiritual journey, you're going to look back and say, oh, you didn't know much then. You're just a kid. You're just learning. You're just learning. But isn't learning the fun? Do you remember when you're learning how to fall in love, learning how to kiss, learning how to make love? Wasn't that the fun? This is the human experience, isn't it? It's not much fun when you're learning how to skateboard or ride a bike and you keep falling off. And there's some terrible moments, rejection, when you say, no, I don't want to see you anymore. You're not my type. I don't find you attractive, you know. We've all had those moments. But it's all part of the human experience. And they do say that us as a species are the most curious and coveted in the universe. We as humans, with our experience of emotions up and down, betrayal, deception, lies, aggression, jealousy, fear, all of these emotions make us the most coveted species in the galaxy. And all these other species would give their left left and right antenna if they're if they're reptilians or ants, just to have that experience, to be incarnated in this body, in this soul journey. So I'm very thankful for what I'm going through. And even though there's some painful moments in all of this, there's some beautiful ones as well, isn't there? Some beautiful moments. I was lucky enough to experience one of those today, with remembering what I did wrong, remembering how bad it made me feel, and being able to right the wrong. So I'm very pleased about that. And with that, I leave it. Rather than rambling or waffling, it's been a great show. And every one of these is different. There are no two the same because there's no script. And I follow the energetic pathway in the inner voice, the channeling that they send to me to do what I have to do, to get the message out there, to share it with you wherever you are. So I hope you've subscribed if you haven't. Remember what I told you about psychopaths and sociopaths. I'll track you down. I'll see you on Friday. Oh, Sylvester is coming in on Friday. I think we're going to pre-record it, but I'm going to play the show on Friday so you can hear what we're talking about. I won't make a mistake and not record it this time, but I'll still monitor what's going on. So if you've got questions as we're doing it, because I'm going to record it on Thursday and play it on Friday because Nick's got some family issues, but he's keen to come back on and say howdy to everybody. So until Friday, my faithful followers and friends, I will love you and leave you in the good grace of our spirit, or Lord, or God, or whatever you want to call him. See you Friday, guys. I hope somewhere in all of the stuff that I share that it reaches out and touches you in a nice way, not in a creepy way. It moves you into becoming a better person and focusing on what's important in your heart and in your soul. See you Friday, guys. Thanks for joining me.